Welcome back to Facebook. I'm Angie Garza, Director of Professional Learning and Educational Services at ROE 47, serving Lee, Ogle, and Whiteside counties. And if you're joining us back here this fine Thursday here in the month of February, you'll know that it's time for another edition of Teacher Talk. And if you've tuned in for any of our teacher talks throughout the month of January, you will know that we have been talking about and previewing the fact that February is CTE Awareness Month. So we've had a lot of different conversations with our friends at Sauk Valley Community College. We've talked with our Illinois CTE project, Shavina Baker, who is a DEI coach. So lots of different conversations around this idea of career and technical education. And so today, as we are in February and celebrating CTE Awareness Month, we are pleased to welcome to our Teacher Talk, Josh Johnson, who is the director of the Whiteside Area Career Center. Josh, before we get to you, we are going to welcome also our friend, colleague, and co-host, Ms. Stacy Dingus, to our Teacher Talk platform here this morning. Stacy, CTE Awareness Month is the month of February, and we've been having conversations all along the way. We have Josh here with us today, who's going to be sharing what the Vocational Center is up to. But good morning, welcome back to our platform, and what are you interested in learning more about this morning as we talk to Josh?
Well, Angie, good morning. And I feel like I've said this the last couple teacher talks that we have done talking about this whole idea of CTE, college and career readiness, career exploration, because the timing is perfect, because as we are, getting comfortable with second semester, our high schools are having those conversations with their students about what's next. And that conversation happens at my house often, as I have a student that probably will be headed to Whiteside through our local high school in the next 2 years. And so I'm excited about this conversation because telling a little bit more about CTE and exploring that world, but then also me as a parent learning a little more about what possibly my son will be experiencing in the next couple of years.
Josh, good morning. Welcome. Thanks so much for being with us here this morning on Teacher Talk. And as we start our conversations this morning about, surrounding those ideas on careers, you have really grown and expanded the Career Center. So, we're so interested. We were talking earlier. You've been with us before, but remind our viewers a little bit about your story. How did you end up at the Career Center? What is it that is in the day-to-day there, and a little bit about the programs that you're able to offer at the Career Center as well?
Sure. Well, so to start, I've been in the program in this job for about 6 years now, and it's just been. It is a world that, you don't really think, you don't really see a lot, right? When you go up through schools, when you go through the ranks of schools, you don't realize that, hey, there's an industry out there. There is a lot to learn. And when I stepped into this job, I really had to kind of dive into all these programs that we have and just learn about the industry and how we can affect the industry in our region. And we have done that in a huge way in the last 6 years. We have 12 programs in our building. Well, actually 10 programs in the building and 2 that are not in our building. And I'll list those off. We have digital media arts. We've got early childhood education. We've got health occupations, allied health, computer tech, automotive, criminal justice, culinary arts, building trades, welding and manufacturing. And then the 2 that are not in our building are the CEO program and the cosmetology program. And in the last 6 years that I've been here, we have seen just exponential growth in all of those 11 or 12 programs. I say 11 because the cosmetology program is not actually a program of WACC. That's Educators of Beauty. We send kids to it, but we don't actually own that program. So we have 11 programs that we have influence on. Now, those programs all host their own advisory groups within the city of Sterling. And our advisory groups guide our instruction and guide our curriculum. It's a two-way street with our advisory groups, because local advisors, like manufacturers and local industry personnel, sit on our advisory groups, and they advise us, and then we in turn can put out some of the best employees that we possibly can into their places of business.
We talked a little bit, we mentioned earlier that February is CTE Awareness Month. Can you talk a little bit more about why this idea of career and technical education is so important to our students? And maybe talk a little bit about how WACC is working with the local ROE to kind of start this conversation with kids
Yeah.
about let's give you some experience before you graduate from high school so you have a better idea to make decisions that will affect your future.
It's interesting, Angie, you kind of mentioned the difference between vocational and career, like a career center like ours. When you think vocational, you think of classes that students are not going to college. When you think of career readiness, you think of kids that are going to go to college or maybe not go to college. Our building is everything. Our building has college-bound kids. We have future doctors in our building. We have future manufacturers. We have future police officers, future educators. We truly do cover all of those realms of education. And it's important for our future generations to know that college might not be for everyone. So we are here to prepare you for whatever the next steps might be, whether that be college, whether that be some kind of industry. And to speak to the ROE, we've partnered with the ROE, and I got to give Angie props. She and her crew have done a phenomenal job of getting these pathways off the ground. And WACC is a big part of the pathway endorsements for multiple different pathways, because we have the facilities and we have the instructors that a lot of districts just can't afford to have anymore. So we covered a lot of those steps for students to get the pathway endorsements.
Josh, a couple weeks ago, we talked with Sasha Logan from Sauk Valley Community College about CTE, and she mentioned the importance of career and technical education in our communities as a part of economic development. And I would say also the Career Center is a huge part. And I don't think most people know about that. I can remember conversations kind of popping up through chamber work where, gosh, we've got this huge hole right now in our workforce, in our local communities. And so there was a partnership with you and the industry folks to kind of fill and meet that need. And that is constantly happening at the Career Center. How do you see, which I think is amazing, and something that we really should be celebrating, but how do you see career tech ed? How do you see the Career Center impacting our local business and our local industry? And what are some projects, if we were to look out across the landscape of our community, what are some things that your students, your teachers have been a part of?
Sure. So to start, this is kind of a two-way street, like I said. We do get to affect the local industry because we get the kids out into their businesses, and we have grown our internships in multiple different programs. Of the around 680 kids that we have in our building, we've got about 140 of them that are out in internships just this year, which is amazing. And we keep growing that number every single year as far as putting kids out into businesses. And a lot of our kids are getting hired right out of the gate as soon as they graduate high school, which is really, really a cool opportunity. And then in turn, when those industries sit on our, I say it's a two-way street because when they sit on our advisory groups, they often advise us, well, we need this education in your curriculum. Okay, how are we going to fund that? And they'll end up maybe either donating some equipment or funding us to offer those kind of curriculums. So it's a give and take, and it works really, really well with our region. And we're really quite proud of that. So we love to get our classes out in the community. Our building trades class they've built houses all over this city over the last 30 years. Through COVID, things have slowed down a little bit because people aren't building stuff as much. But we're hoping to have, people fund building houses here in the next few years. So you'll be able to see those. Our welding manufacturing program has built some signage for the Sterling Main Street in the city of Sterling. You can see that downtown and at the Grandin Plaza, which are the little shops downtown, which the building trades class actually built those shops last year, which are amazing to see. Our allied health and health occupations classes have actually they've created a rotation to go take blood pressures at the senior center here in town. So you can see our kids doing that. We've got all kinds of things going on. Automotive, we love having customers come into automotive. Digital Media Arts does things for customers every so often. And pretty much our classes just really love to get out. So get out and help the public.
Okay, so follow-up question to that. How
Sure.
does How do you make that happen? I think that authentic learning is the most powerful learning experience that we can give our children. And
Sure.
if you just listed off 5, 6, 7 projects that are happening right in our own backyards, how do we make that happen? And how, what has the feedback been from the community? I'm just curious.
Sure. So as far as how to make it happen, we do a lot of reaching out. Our instructors are great at finding those things, but those things also come to us. We love to work with the community, and hopefully the community knows that. And when they start to know that and they see our projects out, they can come to us and we can put them on the schedule. The only thing we ask is when we do have a customer or a client of some kind in any of our program is that they understand that this is a learning process and that some of these things take time. We're not gonna get something done overnight. But we do take pride in our quality. So we will do it right. We'll ensure that it gets done right, but it's going to take some time because our kids are learning on your project.
Josh, I want to real quick touch on something that you said earlier that I think is super important as we kind of talk about, if you're a parent or even a student listening to this and you think, I want to get involved. You said something before that I think needs to be repeated, that the students that attend WACC are students that have futures in all different realms.
Yes.
And maybe that stereotype that there used to be that these are the kids that aren't four-year college bound is not actually accurate. And like you had said, you've got kids that probably are immediately workforce bound right away.
Right.
Or maybe they're headed to a long education because that's what their career goals are looking for. So knowing that this is really an option for any type of student, tell us how we find out more about WACC, or how do I know if my local high school has a connection, a partnership with WACC? Where do we get more information?
Our website is wacc.cc. All of our programs will be on there, and all of our affiliate schools will be on there as well. So you can find out if your region comes to WACC. Or your students can go talk to their counselor. Their counselors are the ones that actually put the students into our programs. And actually, like you said, this is the time of year where seniors and juniors are really kind of getting into their next year's classes. So it's imperative that they get in early. We do have a seat limit. So our classes are only so big and we only have so many instructors. So we do end up putting kids on the wait lists in some classes. So the sooner kids can get onto the list at their home district, the better off they're going to be.
It's exciting to know that you have those waiting lists of students who are so interested in learning and working here in our local community and through the Career Center. So thanks so much for not only taking time out here this morning to talk with us on Teacher Talk, but also all that you and your teachers do to help support not only our students, but also the local community. And as well as, we talked about that economic development piece, which is something that I don't think a lot of people recognize. So thank you so much.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Friends, that wraps us up here for this edition of Teacher Talk. We hope that you've enjoyed our conversations this morning with Whiteside Area Career Center Director Josh Johnson. More information on the Career Center is available on their website at www.wacc.cc or through your local school counselor. On behalf of my friend, colleague, and co-host, Ms. Stacy Dingus, and our special guest this morning, Josh Johnson, we'd like to say, have a wonderful rest of your Thursday, and even better Friday, a wonderful, hopefully spring-filled weekend, and we will see you right back here next Thursday for another edition of Teacher Talk.